everyone. My name is Angela, and I am a tax professional, and I have been for a very long time. I have recorded a tax help video series that covers multiple topics for individuals who may have tax issues, general questions, etc. This particular video is actually part two to the video I recorded yesterday, February the 11th, 2015, regarding the ACA, otherwise known as Obamacare, tax filing requirements. In that particular video, the information that I provided was more so geared towards the recipient, the person receiving the coverage and receiving the forms. In this particular video, I am going to cover the forms and some requirements for employers and other providers outside of the marketplace. Now, before I get into the meat of this video, let me just recap the forms, recap what I spoke about yesterday in the previous video, and mention the forms that I mentioned in that video. Now, as I mentioned in that video, this ACA Obamacare tax filing reporting requirement is new to everyone. And of course, the tax professionals were not excluded from that. So we are learning as we go here, if you will. And so you have to please, you don't have to, but you should please bear with your tax professional because there's a lot of new information out there that we have to absorb, and there are a number of forms that are required in regards to making sure that the information is reported correctly. So, anyway, to recap the form numbers from yesterday, those forms are the 1095A, which is the health insurance marketplace statement form, the form 8962, which is the premium tax credit form, and the form 8965, which is the form used to report healthcare exemptions on it. So those were the forms that were discussed in yesterday's video. Again, that's more so relevant to the recipient. And you can refer to that video for more information because I did go into more detail regarding those forms. Now, as for this video, again, this video is geared toward the information that I'm going to provide in this video is more so geared toward employers who provide health insurance coverage and others outside of the marketplace who provide coverage and what forms you need to file to make sure that you're in compliance. So, there seems to be a bunch of 1090 forms going on. You got the 1095A, which is the health insurance marketplace statement form. And again, that's the form that providers through the marketplace will provide to recipients. Okay, so for the forms for employers and others outside of the marketplace, you have the form 1094B, which is the transmittal of health coverage which is the transmittal of healthcare coverage information. Okay, let's do this again. The 1094B is the transmittal of health coverage information returns. This particular return is similar to the 1096 form that you file with 1099 miscellaneous forms. It's pretty much to report the information about the individuals that you have issued the 1095B forms to. Now, the 1095B form is the health coverage verification form. Boy, I'm getting tongue tied here, but the 1095B is the health coverage form that the employer or other provider outside of the marketplace will provide to you. There is also the 1095C form, which is the employer provided health insurance offer and coverage form. Now, for more information about these forms, you can refer to their instructions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read part of the instructions for the form 1094B and 1095B. Okay, the purpose of the forms 1094B and 1095B. Form 1095B is used to report certain information to the IRS and to taxpayers about individuals who are covered by minimum essential coverage and therefore are not liable for the individual shared responsibility payment. Minimum essential coverage includes government-sponsored programs, eligible employer-sponsored plans, individual market plans, and miscellaneous coverage designated by the Department of Health and Human Services. Minimum essential coverage is described more in detail in the instructions of the Form 1094B and 1095B. Okay, so now let's talk about, or shall I say, let me discuss who must file. Every person that provides minimum essential coverage to an individual during a calendar year must file an information return and a transmittal. Most filers will use Form 1094B, which is the transmittal form, and 1095B, which is the information return. However, employers, including government employers, subject to the employer shared responsibility provisions sponsoring self-insured group health plans, will report about the coverage in Part 3 of Form 1095C. Employer provided health insurance offer and coverage. Instead of on Form 1095B, in general, an employer with 50, 50 or more full-time employees, including full-time equivalent employees during the prior calendar year, is subject to the employer shared responsibility provisions. And you can refer to the instructions for Forms 1094C and 1095C for more information. Okay, so let's talk about where to file the Forms 1094B and the 1095B, or when to file. The return and transmittal form must be filed with the IRS on or before February 28th of the year following the calendar year of coverage if you are not electronically filing. If you are electronically filing these forms, then you have until March 31st. So again, let me repeat that. The return and transmittal form must be filed with the IRS on or before February 28th of the year following the calendar year of coverage if you're not electronically filing those forms, and on March 31st or on or before March 31st if you are electronically filing the forms. And as for where to file the forms, you can refer to the instructions for the Form 1094B and 1095A, and you will get more detailed instructions there on where to file. So what I'm going to do is just show you these forms so you can have an idea as to what they look like. So, okay, this is the Form 1094B. This is the transmittal form that you will need to send along with the Form 1095B. Okay. This is the Form 1095B. This is the form that you are supposed to provide to the recipient as verification that they had insurance coverage. Okay, and this is the 1095C, the employer provided health insurance offer and coverage form. This is for those employers who have 50 or more full-time employees. Okay, those forms that I just spoke about and showed you are seemingly the major players regarding employers and others outside of the marketplace that they should be concerned with. So, again, this is part two to the first video. And as mentioned in the beginning of this video, I do have a tax help video series covering various topics. That information should flash across the screen at some point if you want to refer to the website for those videos or my individual website. Well, this concludes my discussion in regards to the 1094B, 1095B, and the 1095C forms. I hope that you find the information to be beneficial, and as always, my goal is to help you make your life a little less taxing.